live and ready to go on this Monday as December ticks down. It's all good, though, because as far as Michigan goes, you know that they are set, and we are counting down the days. Jim Scarcelli's with a Scar. You know, you're always counting down the days to, you know, the new year. And for this year, you know, going to be a heck of a new year for Michigan as, you know, they'll be out in Pasadena. So something to look forward to, right?
I remember going to those bowl games, and on New Year's Eve, we had a bottle of non-alcoholic, like grape juice. They would give the players. Bring the new year in with some non-alcoholic grape juice. But, you know, Denny, we finished up before Thanksgiving. We had like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You know, we actually had a period that we called it bowl conditioning. It was like a good 3-week period where all you did was run and lift. And these guys had like a week off. And now Bama, they're practicing today. I think today is the first practice back. So, you know, just get right back into it and get these guys healthy, man. Jim will be, you got to, you know, get them right.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're right. They are back after a little bit of time off to practice. Got some news with Michigan basketball. They had a win on the road versus Iowa, played a really good second half. That's not what everyone's talking about. We'll get to that with Juwan Howard. Scar has got some film on how to stop the tide on offense, how to stem the tide. And we're looking forward to that informative, educational, and entertaining film analysis like only Scar can do. But we got a lot of news and notes with Michigan that we also need to talk about. Let's just jump right into that. If you missed this over the weekend, recruiting is still going on. You know, you got the early signing period, then you got the regular one of the first Wednesday in February, and Michigan has added their 26th commitment. They flipped a defensive tackle, David Poly. He is the latest commitment for Michigan, and the team rankings from Rivals has Michigan at 13. Never can have enough big bodies. And Pally, I think he was a USC commit, and he must have looked over there and seen how they were playing defense and said, I'm out of there. I want to go play for the number one defense in the country, and that's Michigan. I don't know.
Danny, you know, this is a Pennsylvania kid, right? Isn't he Pennsylvania?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is good on a lot of fronts. Okay, we're taking a kid from Penn State's backyard. That's good. We're taking a kid who is committed to an opponent of ours now. So we hurt them. We take a kid from USC, and he's now coming to Ann Arbor. That's what happens with championships. That's what happens when you go to play for national championships. This kid's good. You know, he reminds me of a Maurice Hurst type kid. He's just real quick, great feet, not the tallest kid, tough, mean, athletic kid. Come on down and play for Coach Elston. But, yeah, that's a great pickup.
He is listed, Poly, at 6'3", 300 pounds, defensive tackle from Landisville, Pennsylvania, in the Keystone State. So you're right. He is from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, this, you know, close some deals here. And the signing day is, man, you got this early signing days. And I just wonder, you know, is it a disadvantage? I guess they probably don't care about these teams that are in these bowl games because there's so many of them. But, you know, but if you're playing for a meaningful bowl game like these, there are 4 teams that are, you know, there's so much going on with recruiting and transfer and, you know, going on right now at this time for the coaches, not so much for the players, but for the coaches that they, you know, it's just a time monster eating up at their time, being involved with so many things because of the early signing day right down the road here. And the coaches have got to be on the top of their game for all of this stuff because it changes, you know, hour by hour, it changes for them.
Good stuff. And we get some more news and notes. First, I want to tell everyone it's really a solution for you because a lot of people are thinking about, hey, I want to get a Christmas gift out there and I really don't know what to buy. that Michigan fan in my life. A Michigan tie, a Michigan shirt. Sure, those are good things. Rose Bowl tickets, those are a little bit on the pricey side. But here's something, the gift that gives all year round, every day, and that is a subscription to the Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Maybe you want to play Santa Claus and hook yourself up with that prize, and that would be a good present for yourself, a subscription to the Maize and Blue Review. We'll see you over there on the posting board on the Den talking about Michigan. So awards being handed out, and Michigan Junior Colson grabbed some hardware. Colson awarded the Lot Impact Trophy. Now, the Impact is an acronym that stands for integrity, maturity, performance, academics, community, and tenacity. All the things that Ronnie Lott, the great football player, stood for. And Junior Colson gets that trophy. He's in good company when it comes to former Wolverines that also were past winners of the Lott Trophy, including just 2 years ago, Aiden Hutchinson and Jabril Peppers also got that Lott Award. So good job by Junior Colson, and congratulations to Junior. How about that?
Yeah, that's great stuff. And, individual awards come with team success. Every coach in the country talks about that at every level. And that's great for Junior. He was involved with, with Corum and Sanistril this weekend, trying to get those toys and send them to Haiti and send them all over wherever they're going to send them. And that's great stuff.
You're right. And yeah, some of those toys were earmarked for Haiti, where Colson, I think, is originally from. So you're right about that, Scar, on top of it. So it's good to see those individual awards. And yeah, great job by the crew there, led by Blake Corum out at Somerset. They exceeded all expectations. And yeah, I heard there were 111,000 people there, all with trophies and ready to go. Not a big surprise. Scar, how about what's going on with the coaching carousel, the portal? You have any thoughts there on what's going on here? A lot of stuff. I see Michigan State's picking up, some different coaches. They brought in a defensive coordinator. I'm going to wait and see what the staff looks like, and, look at these guys' bio. But what's standing out to you?
I think you have to, as a coach, Denny. Our rival. We always wanted to make sure they were firing their coach every 3-4 years, and that meant we were doing the right thing, and that really did happen. But I always was concerned with who they're bringing in. I think Jim and will always be concerned who's coming in at Michigan State, who are the coordinators, who they're recruiting. It's important. You got to know what's going on. So let's just start with Penn State. Penn State brought in Kansas offensive coordinator. Now, I told you Kansas. I was really impressed with their offensive scheme. The things they were doing were so creative. So that James Franklin's a smart guy. That's a guy I would take a look at. If I'm hiring and I'm struggling offensively. So he hired the Kansas O coordinator. Manny Diaz is gone, got the Duke job. So that's a job. We'll be anxious to see what he does. When we don't play Penn State next year, so it's not as crucial. But we do play USC next year. Okay, USC, Denny, hired the head football coach at North Dakota State, who's a real defensive guy. Okay, so that's interesting that Lincoln Riley is saying, you know what, I'm going to go get a guy who is a head coach at North Dakota State. They got that great program there.
Yes, they do.
And he's got to get his defense solidified. I've always said, I think the USC offense, it's soft. It makes the defense soft. So until he toughens up his offense, I think he's going to be a soft team. But they're looking at a couple key transfers. The kid at Washington State, Cam Ward, he's a good player. I don't want to see him come to the Big Ten. And Will Howard, the kid at Kansas State, is also looking at USC. But I don't want to see Cam Ward come to the Big Ten. I was really impressed with him at Washington State. I'm going to keep going, Denny, because there's some other people that Minnesota's quarterback is gone, and PJ's whining about money. So that's what's going on in Minnesota. We play the Gophers, so I'm watching them. What's going to happen with them? I don't think he wanted his quarterback to leave in Minnesota. So that's an interesting deal going on there. What do I got here? Illinois, they lost the starter to Ole Miss. So that's not a good thing. We play Illinois. So if he's losing guys that are on his program, that's a bad sign for Illinois. Good sign for everybody else in the Big Ten. But if he's, he lost to like a big starter, a 2-year starter at, to leave. But I'm watching Michigan State. Now Denny, I was hoping for a hotshot offensive coordinator, but no, they did hire a proven coach. And there's things that he's doing that impresses me. Okay. I see these guys get a job. They'll have a job at a max school, build it up, and then get a bigger job. And many times they don't take all their assistants with them. And I think that's so rotten. If I work with Fithian and we're doing good things and you get a head coaching job somewhere, well, you better take Scarcelli with you. You know what I mean? He's doing that. So that impresses me from a loyalty standpoint. He's brought a bunch of his assistants with him, and he did hire a guy who's a former Big Ten defensive coordinator that will know how people, know the Big Ten. Guy's name was Rossi. He worked for PJ. So, but he's got to get that quarterback because all his quarterbacks left. I'm guessing he's going to wheel in that quarterback, that young freshman quarterback over there. And it looks like Oregon, again, these teams we all play. So I'm watching the people we play next year. Oregon got the kid from Oklahoma. So that kid's been all over. I don't know how many years of football that kid's played, but that's a big pickup for them. He's a good player. That's the only team that beat Texas is that kid. And then, of course, Ohio State, I don't think they really wanted that kid to leave. I don't think they wanted the quarterback to leave. You listen to Urban Meyer. I don't think they wanted that kid to leave. But I think everybody else that's leaving, I don't think they really care about, Denny, to tell you the truth, other than the quarterback, because all them guys that are leaving weren't playing. And I think they're going to play hard in the bowl game. They got, this is actually a good situation. If I'm Ryan Day, I got these guys that have left. I've got pros that are going to sit out. I get to look at this Devin Brown kid. This is actually a good situation for him because I said these bowl games are like scrimmages. So he's basically going to, of course he wants to win the game, but he's going to get to play a lot of young guys, and get ready. But we'll see what this Devin Brown kid is all about. And, that's about it around the Big Ten, though.
So the new Michigan State defensive coordinator is at Minnesota. So the Wolverines put up over 50 points on the new Spartan DC. That's good. That's something that
Danny, he was at Minnesota maybe a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but he is a guy that's been around the Big Ten. And I got Washington down here. Penix will be gone. He's a good coach. They don't have the best talent, I think, of the Final Four teams. We play Washington next year. We go there, and he's a good coach. But those are some of the people we're facing. That I'm looking at their coaches and some things going on with their programs. Because, Danny, believe me, as a coach, I was constantly looking and trying to find out about what the heck's going on with, who are they bringing in, got to know what the enemy's doing, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like you talked about some of those, like, Fleming was a 5-star wide receiver. I would think that they would have wanted to keep him and have him fight for a job. But, if he's, not getting the reps. Michigan did lose. I saw CJ Stokes came out today and said that he is going into the transfer portal. And, Stokes was pretty good last year. Michigan needed him. He's fought through some injuries, and then guys have passed him up. That's a tough spot, like CJ Stokes. But, you get passed up, and then you get banged up, and it's pretty easy just to go ahead and zip out and say peace and hit the transfer portal. So that's happening there. We got a lot of people with questions for you, Scar. And also we have you've been looking at the quarterback depth for Michigan and McCarthy, the possibility of him coming back. You've got a different feeling over the last couple of days than last week. Where are you at with McCarthy?
It's in my gut, man, based on what's going on, what we're hearing, what we're seeing. I just think him and Jim communicate. And I think that he's coming back. I think JJ's coming back. It's just a gut. I got nothing other than a gut feeling, just from everything I'm feeling about this kid and that relationship. And I firmly believe Jim's coming back. And I think we're going to get a great contract. He deserved to be the highest paid coach in the Big Ten. That's for darn sure. We want leaders and best. We want the best facilities for all of our sports. We want all the best that we keep banging the table about. Well, we better pay our guy 3 in a row. So he'll be the highest paid coach. He'll be at Michigan, and JJ's coming back. That's Scar's gut feeling on those 2 key guys.
Yeah, Fithian's gut feeling is that McCarthy is undecided right now, and with a great semifinal and a great championship game, that could go a long way in helping him decide his future. And I do think it's more likely that Jim Harbaugh comes back, but there is a chance. And I also think that's pretty close as well in terms of Harbaugh coming back. Obviously, a lot of different factors that go on there, but I would predict that that Harbaugh would come back, but it's not a slam dunk. And people want to make that a slam dunk either way. I don't think right now. I think, I think he's wanting to come back to Michigan, but also, it's nice to have options. So that's how I feel about those. Here's some,
Denny, also, since we're kind of on this recruiting transfer, we hit it a little bit with the other teams, but Michigan now, there's a lot of big decisions, just like Stokes, he didn't play. Okay. So that decision was probably, he just sat down and he understood they probably liked the freshman more, but he had I guarantee you he had a conversation, and every player on that team, when the Iowa game ended, had a conversation with their assistant coach, maybe even the coordinator, and then probably with Jim also. I'm guessing every player on that team had a conversation with their position coach and the head coach, because we did it at the end of the season, and you go over where you stand and you get an idea what the coach is thinking. And I think you're going to see some names in that portal from Michigan, and then that helps the kid. It helps Michigan figure out what direction Jim wants to go in. With we keep hearing, and our guys, Josh and the crew, are on top of all these these kids that are in the portal. Some good-looking offensive linemen out there. The good-looking defensive linemen from Penn and some of these kids. But at the same time, Danny, I just want to say this. I played with a lot of really, really good players that didn't play their first 3 or 4 years. I remember Rich Stringer ended up playing with the Lions like a second round. He didn't start till his 5th year. I played with Eric Caddis. We're recruiting his son. He didn't start till his 5th year. Had played in the NFL for 5 years. So we've got some good-looking offensive linemen there and some good players that just haven't, had a chance to crack the lineup yet. So I watch those kids at practice. We all see them getting in at the end of the game, guys like Gentry and some of these kids. So anyway, Jim Harbaugh, the head coach right now, these next couple of weeks, there are big time decisions going on with the players, the coaches, and who do we look at? What positions can we get better at? And you got to be honest with those players.
Questions for Scar before we move on and get to basketball and watch some of that film. Mr. Bebop Blue asking Scar, he's saying that he doesn't think Alabama's defense is better than Ohio State's.
I agree. I think Ohio State was really, really well coached. Great players, really good players. Listen, Alabama's well coached, good players. I just think we're going to do well against that defense. I think we're going to scheme it up. We're going to confuse them. Look, Jerry's going to hit their defense, but my gut feeling is, Danny, just do what we've been doing when we beat Penn State and Ohio State. Number one, secure the ball, execute. We got to have creative stuff. We got to have the halfback pass. We got to run some Statue of Liberty. That stuff is what Michigan does. Okay, we got to have conflict. The 6 offensive linemen, and then we got to make plays, man. But I totally believe we're going to move the ball against that defense and just do what we did in those two big games, because that Alabama defense I don't think they're better than Penn State's. Penn State had, that was a good defense, man. So I'm really confident we're going to move the ball against them.
Well, you had a gut with JJ. How about Junior Colson? You have a gut feel on Junior?
Yeah, see, JJ's making good money with the NIL. I don't know how well Junior's doing, and I think they've got Juniors maybe slotted like anywhere from maybe a third, fifth round. I don't know, but
yeah. Well, if he's like that, this is the kind like last year. Those who stay will be compensated. This would be a situation where I think NIL, whatever it is for Junior, I could see him cashing in Ann Arbor if he wanted to come back for his senior season. I can see that happening.
And what Jim did and what Minter did this past season opposed to last year, the kid didn't play as much football. He had a much better year. I said that was going to happen with all three of those linebackers. So, we're losing Barrett, but Junior was better because he was healthier. He didn't get as many reps. So my gut on Junior, he could be back. If I had to if you push me to bet, he could come back.
The way Michigan has approached NIL, I know a lot of people, promise the recruits the money. Michigan on the back half is where they're putting their money. You mentioned Michael Barrett, getting these guys to come back, both of the guards in last year with Keegan and Zinter, a number of other players, Chris Jenkins. Colson would be, I would think, one that would target and would get more money than you would expect, because Michigan rewarding the upperclassmen and getting those guys to stay rather than pouring the money in with promises, which is illegal, to, the recruits and going that route. So I would guess that Junior Colson would come back as well. How about Mark is pointing to swimming, how they taper and get ready for their big meets and everything with their conditioning. Can players peak in football with their conditioning, obviously with the idea of being at the peak on New Year's Day, Scar?
Yeah, it's the football is interesting, because there's the contact you have to have, the conditioning, especially for our defense now. We rotate so many guys. Guys aren't going to be tired. They're going to be in great shape, and we run and lift year round. Playing in a little warmer climate, we'll be out there for a couple days ahead of time to get acclimated to the weather. But I think the big thing with bowl preparation is getting the sweet spot for the amount of contact. That's the thing you have to do. You've got to get the timing. You got to get your offensive linemen hitting, coming off the ball, but you don't want them beat up. You want your defense sharp, crisp, taking on blocks, tackling, but you don't want them with, busted up wrists and sprained knees. So you got, that's the magic in my thing on bowl prep. We're going to have them we run and lift year round. They're going to be in good shape. It's that, because you have to have contact. You can't just, you can't avoid that.
Good explanation. How about the defensive, for the Michigan defense, the nickname Blue Crush as a unit? I'm fine with that. I'd like to see the Blue Crush Alabama on New Year's Day. I'll buy it. I'm with it. I don't mind it. Did your defense have a nickname, Scar, when you played?
No, we didn't. Not in Michigan. Back in Danny, we're we're Detroiters, man. When we start coming up with songs and nicknames, we can think about the Lions. As soon as you come up with some of that stuff, bad things happen. You know what I mean?
What do you mean, like another one bites the dust?
Yeah. So but yeah, we our defense wins championships, Denny. We make the change 3 years ago. That's the biggest correlation with winning championships, in my opinion.
There you go. And let's see if we had a final of the people weighing in on the nicknames. The Maze Rage, that one's already taken. Well, let's go then and hit the next thing in line with the Maze Rage is basketball. Michigan gets a 10-point win in Iowa City yesterday by shooting well after Iowa scores the first 4 points of the second half. Michigan goes on an 11-0 run, and they never look back. They get up 20. They win by 10. But then we find out late last night, there's online people talking about, hey, Juwan Howard's going to get fired. Juwan Howard in a confrontation with a member on his staff. Well, Josh Henschke, the publisher of the Maize and Blue Review, has confirmed through multiple sources that a physical altercation between Juwan Howard and an assistant did not happen this weekend. He did confirm that a verbal altercation took place, but it did not get physical. So that's what Josh said. And then Jalen Rose, Juwan's teammate on the Fab Five, tweeted out that Juwan Howard did not and is not stepping down as head coach. He is enthusiastically hoping to return December the 16th. That's Michigan's next game. Jalen continues and says Juwan is literally recovering from open heart surgery that he had on September the 15th. And then he says, hail. So there are the particulars. Something that went on heading into the weekend before they took off to Iowa and won between Michigan, we think, strength and conditioning coach, and Juwan Howard. Scar, I want to get your thoughts on this. You had to deal with administrations and coaches, and sometimes tempers flare and those kind of things. I would say that I'm disappointed in the Michigan basketball program. Football, if it's out there on the field, you're dealing with 85, another 50 coaches. I mean, so there's 100. You're going to have some people that are talking. Maybe the same situation you could say with basketball, but such a smaller number. The first thing that I'm saying, why can't you keep something like this in-house? And look, I like, information and, talking about things, but this is one where it's between coaches. How is this, getting out there in the public, to me? So, that's a bad sign right from the jump. Whatever would happen, somebody going over there and talking about, hey, did you see Juwan getting all hot with it? Hey, why don't you shut your mouth? I mean, are you part of the program or not? But, so I don't know how that happened, but that's my first thing, a little disappointed in that aspect. But what about this whole thing with
Denny, all of us who've worked for people, worked with groups of people, and we all have, everybody listening, most of us are okay with the boss ripping us, behind closed doors. We don't want to get embarrassed in front of other people. Okay, let's just start with that. So, Danny, when I became a head coach, one of the first things I told my coaches when we had our first staff meeting, I said, number one, we are allowed to argue. We are allowed to argue in the coach's office. Anything goes. We had, and I guarantee, because that's how I was coached. I saw tough coaches, getting after each other. Playing at Michigan. I saw Bo get after an offensive line coach one time, get after him. We weren't moving the ball, and he said something to him on the sideline. It might have been for effect, might have been, but okay. Let me just say that we were allowed to argue as coaches. Okay, I've told the story about Bo throwing a projector at Woody Hayes when they were coaching together. Okay, again, allowed to argue, but it's got to be at the right time. So the big thing, I totally could coach under a guy like Juwan Howard, man. Just rip me in front. And I don't even, obviously some other people saw. I bet you Sanderson really doesn't even care. I'm guessing that if Juwan Howard ripped him for something, I bet he doesn't really care. It's just the fact that these other clowns saw it. There were some media people around. Somebody saw it. I bet you Sanderson doesn't really have an issue with it. I bet you they have that kind of a relationship, but it should have stayed in-house, just like you said. It's just like any other line of work. You do those things, you keep it in-house. And Denny, I remember we used to do like a Georgia drill, 9-on-7, full going offensive, just running the football. Me and my offensive coach, I was the head coach, but we used to get the kids fired up. So we would pretend I was mainly the defensive coach. Me and my other defensive coaches, we would kind of fake a little argument with the offensive coaches to rile up the kids. You follow me? The defensive coaches, the offensive coaches getting in each other's face. What's going to happen to the players? They're going to get fired up. So we did it for effect. But there was one time one of my coaches said something to me that really, really pissed me off. That's a whole nother story. But this is, he's just Juwan's got to know who's around, man. That's, who's around and who's witnessing this kind of communication, man.
Yeah, we don't know who leaked this, but, you mentioned the media. It wasn't like the media was around there and there was some argument. I mean, this was something within the team, it appears, that happened. So, it could have been, they have trainers in addition. They have the people that are helping out with the team, support staff and that. So who knows? I think the interesting part here is that, that this is an in-house situation. We all know that Juwan Howard is a little bit on probation when it comes to this. He's in one of this of zero tolerance. I even think that language is written into his contract. And after he has had these 2 strikes, of course, a couple of years ago in the Big Ten tournament, he was chasing around Turgeon around the court, had to be restrained. He was lucky because it looked like if he was going to, we don't know. I mean, he was chasing him like he was going to tear him apart. And then, of course, the slap swing in Madison that got him suspended for, what it was, 4 or 5 games at the tail end of the season 2 years ago. So I don't know, like if you're somebody that was connected with the basketball program at all, and you saw a heated conversation and you're out talking to the media or knowing that this is going to get out, knowing that Howard is in a situation, a 3rd strike type situation. I mean, what are you trying to do here? Get your coach fired? I don't know. That seems a little bit weird to me. It just seems like, a fracture it could be within the program. There is a review process that I understand that's kind of standard by the university, so they'll take the sides here. Usually it's not something that's public like this, but it is something that is that's happening here. There was a moment late in the game, like Michigan, was up 20, pretty much up 17, and then Iowa was, still fighting to get into the game. And they hit a couple threes and they were pressing, and then Michigan had to take a timeout. And then they had to take another one. And Martelli looked over at Sadie Washington and made a gesture and kind of waved. I didn't like the look on Martelli's face. I didn't like the gesture. It said to me like he was like, I've had enough with what you're saying. And I didn't like what I saw there. Now, that had Juwan was, 5 feet to the right there. There was no gesture with him. But it was just something when I saw it last night, I was like, what? That doesn't look like everybody's in harmony here either. So once you hear this and then you think about, wait, I didn't like that, then you start thinking about all kinds of things. But I don't know, Scar. I mean, that's where we're at right now with
listen, I'm all good with tough in-your-face coaching. I had head coaches get after me. I got after my assistants, but I never wanted to do it in front of the kids. So the kids they can't see me rip their position coach because then they're going to lose he'll lose credibility. But I did rip my assistant coaches, just not in front of the kids.
Right. Well, I guess we don't know how that went down. All right.
As far as that, Denny, real quick, as far as that sideline with Martelli and Washington and Juwan, that's a tough situation. If I'm Phil Martelli with the head coach sitting there, it's a tough situation.
Yeah. Anyway. Matt doesn't want to hear all this stuff. Richard, I know you're an Army-Navy guy.
Oh, loved it, man. I love the Army-Navy game. Let me tell you, Denny, listen, there's 13 football games that are my favorite games to watch, and that's every game Michigan plays in. But the 14th favorite football game to me is the Army-Navy game. I went a couple years ago, man. I love that kind of football. And just option football, tough, all the little coaching going on there, technique. I told you I was at a Navy practice right on the sideline, right with these dudes, man. I'm 6'5". I was the tallest guy. They don't recruit big guys. They're just 6'2". The linemen are 6'3", maybe tops. And just love that game, man. With great ending. I also bet Army. So that safety, I also had the over. The safety saved some people.
If I would,
28 was the
I don't,
over.
that's one thing. Like sometimes I bet just a bet, but I don't bet very much. But I didn't bet. I watched the game. I didn't bet anything. But if I would have bet the over and I would have had Army, I would have been able to take the that last play when they're down there trying to do the tush push to try to get in there. Maybe couldn't move the ball all game long. Suddenly they're going the entire field. You're thinking there's no way they're going to score, but they had a play to do it, and then to take the safety to hit it over. Oh man, that would have been either way. If I would have been betting, if I would have had the under, that would have been one of the most crushing defeats ever. But yeah, a classic. Last year came down to the last play, right?
Yeah.
That's it. All right, Scar, are we ready for the film?
Yeah, let's take a look here. I got some. I've got a little bit of Alabama, not a lot. I've got their game against Georgia.
Let me give you 1 second here, Scar. I just want to thank Quick Cut for your video and analytics for the Scar of the Telestrator. That's it. Here we go. We're looking at the Bama fans.
Danny, I was at a Tennessee South Carolina game years ago as a fan, and the people dress up in the South. They dress up and they stand. They'll stand the whole game. They say it's kind of a respect thing. So look how dressed up they are, man. I thought that was interesting. Put the suit and tie on, some pretty girls there. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, man.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, this is them on offense now.
All right.
Danny, we start with this team. Anyway, let's take a look at first play I got here. This was Georgia running with two spies.
How do you know this?
I've never seen this before.
Right.
They're rushing three. I do not like this look. But that's what they did. I never seen anybody with two spies rushing three. I don't think you get enough pressure. It's hard to flush them out, but they do get them flushed and they make a play. And this was something that Kirby Smart went to. We have not had a lot of success with rushing three, dropping 8. It's not really. We do it. It's in the playbook. Minter does it, but it might be something we might see a couple snaps on the first. But there's some weaknesses to it. But this kid, Kirby Smart called him Lamar Jackson. Everything starts with this kid. We gotta. But they're a smart offensive football team. They're very much like us in a lot of ways. A lot of shifting, a lot of motion. Try to get you screwed up.
Seems pretty deep there on this.
Yeah, he's they're going to shift, and now they just run the football. Okay, and this is the thing you can't let them do. You can't let we got to start with this. Okay, once we get lined up, okay, then they run inside zone. It's probably their best play, and then the power scheme, gap scheme stuff, the same thing Michigan runs. So their best stuff is our best stuff. So both defenses will get good looks, and there's a defensive advantages here. So the first thing, if I'm talking to my team, Coach Minter had them today, is number one, we got to stop every single play where the running back gets the football. You start with that. Okay, you can't let them just hand the ball off. This is inside, and then off of that, just like we do, you'll have quarterback runs off of everything. So he's not really carrying out a fake here, but this is just an inside run, and they're just knocking Georgia out of there. I mean, that's 8-9 yards, 1st and 10. We cannot let them do this. So this is where I would start as a coach. I mean, look what they do to this kid here, Danny. Watch this kid right here. And, that's a pretty good player playing for Georgia. Where do they put him? Watch.
Man.
Okay, so you got to play technique. You've got to play technique against this football team. You got to be low, and you better, because they got some big, strong, highly recruited dudes, man. Okay, and here's empty again. Here's empty, and again, a lot of 3-man rush by Kirby Smart with the double spy, and it just gives you problems. So, again, I think we might do it. But Denny, what we're going to do in these formations, look, Minter is a guy that this is why I have a lot of confidence in our defense, because we will bring corners, we will drop defensive tackles, we will bring linebackers, we will bring safeties. We are going to give them multiple looks. Okay. Now, okay, great. They got a lot of time to prepare for these things, but I guarantee you the things Michigan does on defense, all of the things that we do, they haven't seen a team do all of it. And and the biggest fear when it is a pass is this kid running. But what I like about bringing corners is our corner, if this guy runs 4-4, okay, the corner runs 4-4. That's going to be one of the problems is when we have big, 270-pound edge players. But when we do bring safeties and corners, now we have a fast guy that will be able to put him on the ground and contain him. So there's advantages to bringing linebackers, bringing safeties, bringing corners against this kid in a lot of different ways. You follow me from that standpoint?
I do. I hear you, man. He's pretty still in the pocket, keeps his head up, looking downfield. Like, that's impressive.
The kid's a good player, man. Kirby Smart called him Lamar Jackson, and he is, because he can throw the football. This kid he can throw the football, and he's helped. And this is the number one stuff we got to do. Stop though. This stuff. You can't let him do this. Okay, that's a 4-yard run, but we cannot let Georgia just hand the ball off. When we played them 4 years ago, whatever it was, they were able to just run their zone against us, double team these guys and knock us back. So we've got to stop this. Mason Graham, Kenny Grant, these guys got to be good. And trust me, our defense is designed to stop this stuff. Okay, we see it from our offense. We see it in the Big Ten, and we'll be ready to go. And opposed to what, again, let me say this too, opposed to what Georgia did. This is the thing where Michigan is going to be different. Okay, we do a lot more slanting, stunting, this. We do all this stuff a lot more than Georgia did, and I think a lot more than the people in the SEC do. So hopefully we can get these guys, back on their heels with all the stunting and some of the stuff that we're going to do. All right, so here.
Georgia didn't have Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Those guys were playing last night against the Cowboys. They didn't just reload in there. And Michigan, I think, is better inside with their defensive tackles. Makes me feel better.
Yeah. Here's they'll throw the bomb with this kid. They'll throw deep with him. He's got a strong arm, but here's some low risk passing. Georgia doesn't cover it. Again, you got to line up, man. You got to cover the right guy. They're just screwed up. Georgia's defense is screwed up. They're not even cover this guy. That's got away with a pick there. I mean, that's not even close. How does this not called? Watch this tight end. This kid's good. This 40. I'll go over personnel next week. This 45 is a good player. That's totally illegal block. But here's a deep pass. They'll throw the bomb, man. Okay, edge, run with this. See, this is a problem, Denny. Okay, we have a play. They're running a quarterback keep. Some of this film was cut off, but they're running a quarterback. They faked the mesh point to the running back, and now Georgia has a player assigned to this kid. Okay, great. Everything should be good, right? Player on player.
He's right.
Guess what? This guy runs 4.4, and this guy runs 4.8. Or 4.7, whatever it is. You see me? Still, they pick up the first down. The guy's right there. And that's a good athlete playing for Georgia. So this is the problems that they put you in, is you might have a player assigned to this kid, but you still have problems. You got to take a better angle.
Yeah, man. It didn't matter if he was on his shoulder or not, man.
Well, how I would coach this is he has got to recognize it sooner, and he's got to try to come flat and try to make him cut back. Don't go to where he's going to be, not to where he is. This kid's a niche for, if his angle was, in fact, he could have been even more back down the line of scrimmage. It's how we used to play option. This is how we used to defend option. Cat and mouse technique was, okay, let's make the play for a 2-yard gain. He has a bad angle at first, and now he ends up making the play here. Opposed to if he took an angle back here, he might have made it for a 2-yard gain. You follow me?
Yeah, so this is going to be Braden McGregor and Jalen Harris.
Yeah, that's going to be our edge guys.
Yeah.
So, and they'll be asked to do that at times, and you've got to. Here's a. What do I got here? 3-2-3. Yeah, the kid throws a dime. This is Russian 3 again. I guess my point is this kid can throw the football. Here's just, again, Russian 3. How much time are you going to give him? I got to believe Minter saw enough of this 3-man rush to say, the kid can. I think Kirby Smart said, I don't think this kid can throw. I think that's what Kirby Smart said. I don't want him running around. We're going to make him beat us with his arm. But when I look at him, I see him throwing some good pass, and here's a deep one, 2nd and 4. So, it's covered, it's overthrown, but he's not afraid to throw the bomb, the offensive coordinator. And now Kirby's bringing some pressure. What's he doing here? He's bringing 5 guys. He brings a guy off the edge down here. We're going to see, this is the stuff we're going to do. This is Michigan right here. This is what we do. We're going to bring Sanistro. We might drop a guy here. But I like our scheme because now we got fast guys coming who can run him down. Okay, here's a smart player now. Here's 3rd and 4. This kid takes a good angle. Harrell's able to make this. Our guys are athletic enough. This kid takes a good rush angle, and he gets him on the ground. And it was thought maybe he didn't get him down, but this is one edge player, and this is when you work on contain all week long, man. So 3rd and 9. This is a Georgia stunt that they're running, and I think they end up getting they get some pressure here. The touchdown.
Yeah.
But it's a stunt that worked. Yeah, it's not covered. They're not covered. Man coverage. But Kirby started, I think he got out of that 3-man stuff after a while. And here's a little stunt that does something, at least gets a guy in his face. So they do have Alabama, they still have receivers, though. Those are Alabama type receivers. So, but I think we can beat them in the kicking game. And here Georgia does a good job keeping this kid inside the pocket. They get good edge guys up at the top. This is what Michigan has to do. We got to get pressure and get a little push up front. At least one of the guys, they're getting a little bit of push here. Got edge players containing. Danny, do you get a sense of my tone that this quarterback and containing this quarterback, and stopping the inside run, stopping the quarterback keep off the run, is so important.
I do get that sense. And look, Michigan, they have the personnel, their defensive line. They have the kind of defensive tackles. And the other thing is that this is a game that the offense, they can help out by putting some points up on the board. Obviously, they're able to run the ball, keeping him over on the sideline. But can Michigan get to, 30 points? And can I think they can keep Bama under 30. You think a little bit lower than that, or what?
My number's 24. If we give Alabama 24, I think we're going to have problems. We got to keep them under 20. For us to score 27 points. Yeah, but I think we got to keep Alabama to 20, 17 points. I think we can do it. Anyway, they're throwing the ball 1st and 10. They're up. So they're not afraid, they're not afraid. This 17's a good receiver. So we got to know where he is. That's a guy that he really looks for, 17. He's a hell of an athlete.
That Bond.
Yeah.
He's the one that caught the Milroe Miracle against in the Iron Bowl.
Saban and Jim Harbaugh are very similar in their offensive philosophies. Their histories are very similar. Saban was always a two tight end, this stuff, gap, zone, same thing Jim Harbaugh's roots were. And I think Lane Kiffin got Saban out of some of that stuff. But, these tight ends are tough dudes, man. All their tight ends are blockers. There ain't no imposters here. I've watched all of them. I look at tight ends, and there ain't no guy coming in there to just run around and catch the ball. They all can block, and they'll throw it to them. And
it looks like something Michigan would run that
of
arrow.
course, this is Michigan stuff. This is a Michigan formation, and but we've got to be great in this kind of. Auburn had good success in the red zone. We got to be great in the red zone. Auburn had real good success in the red zone against Alabama, which gave a chance to win that game. And here we go. This is Denny. They run a lot of the stuff we run, and the orgy package is a big part of what they do with this kid. Okay, a lot of the same. We ran this same play with orgy, fake the jet. Okay, fake the jet, and they're running a power. Kind of they're running the quarterback power to the side of the jet. I'm sure we have this play in. We ran orgy on the power away from jet. Remember that couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're ready for this play, but this play gives you conflict, man, because you got to honor jet. Okay, so these players have to honor jet. They got to get out here to honor this. So sometimes you'll get him upfield, and now they just run power here, and you've got the quarterback in that seam. And look at the speed on this kid. So, those are and now here's QB. This is the stuff now. He doesn't want to run this. But Michigan is going to have to run JJ just like Saban is going to have to run Milroe. Okay? Saban does not want to run this kind of stuff. I guarantee you. But what's the score? Score is 27-24, and they're trying to run the clock out. So, here he is again now. 2nd and 8. He's running quarterback power. This is to win the game, though. So, we're going to have to do this with JJ. So, whatever kind of ailments JJ has, he better get it cleaned up, because I think we're going to have to run JJ, just like we did against Penn State. And just like we did, we actually didn't we didn't against Ohio State, but then that's all I got here. I'm going to have, I'll have some, I'm going to look at some Auburn next week, and then maybe some LSU the following week, but I'm just going to look at their offense. Jerry's going to cover their defense, but I feel good, man. I like that the structure of our defense, the foundation of it is to stop their best stuff. Our offense runs their best stuff. There's nothing they're going to run we haven't seen. So, but we're going to give them all of our stuff, man. That's what I'm banking is going to be a problem for their offensive line and their quarterback. That's what I'm hoping, that all of our scheme and where we bring guys from every different angle. That I don't think they see a ton of that in the SEC. See, I don't know about 15 times, but enough. We have to, because that I hope we don't need to run him 15 times, but we are going to need to run him to put their defense in conflict, just like their kid is going to put our defense in conflict. And that's what makes it tough, because you have to honor the quarterback keep off of every inside run play that they run. You have to honor it. So that's what slows your defense down.
Well, if you like statistics, I know a lot of people, they get scared because it's Saban, it's Bama, and that spooks you a little bit. But Michigan, statistically this year, they had the number 1 scoring defense in the country, only team in the country to keep teams below 10 points. So number one, Bama down there at 17. So they have that. And then even when you flip it on the offense, scoring offense, when you look in the Power Five, Michigan scored more points than Alabama. So, Milroe is the key. You're on it, Scar. I think, listening to you and, Jesse Minter, the kind of personnel that Michigan has, they've been waiting for something like this. It's not like, they should know what's that's happening here. They'll have a plan for it. And the other phases of the game that you're talking about, Michigan special teams and the offense can help the defense and vice versa. I think Michigan can play complementary football. I'm going to pick Michigan to win the game on New Year's Day.
Hey, look, I've said this. We don't just show up and just hammer people with our offense. We have enough stuff that puts their defenses in conflict, and we're going to have to do it again with Alabama. And use Donovan on wheel routes, use Donovan to throw the football, run our stuff, man, out scheme, create problems. And then we're going to do the same thing on defense. We're not just lining up and saying we got big, strong dudes like maybe Georgia did and just play vanilla stuff. No, that's not what we do, man. We give you problems. We make the players think. We make them block slanting defenses, corners and safeties and linebackers and dropping guys, and we give them headaches, man, other than having good players. So definitely, Richard, they're beatable, and just do what we've done, man. Secure the football and win the kicking game, and be creative, man.
And I know Alabama gets to heal up. So, people say, it's the same thing for both teams, which is true. But, two of Michigan's key players, Will Johnson on the defensive side, whatever it is, the lower body injury, ankle, I think, he could have played in the Big Ten title game, but having a Will Johnson is close to 100%. And then, JJ McCarthy, wherever he was at, I don't know, 75%, getting him up where he could be 100% this time off, big time key for Michigan in this game. Healthy Will Johnson, healthy JJ McCarthy, to me. Michigan, going in full speed in this one. Too bad they don't have Zach Zinner, but they, as close to 100% as they could be.
Yeah, this is the more and more I think about the offenses, man, they're really, really similar. These offenses are very similar. Saban's got some fullback formation, some I-back, fullback formation stuff he'll have in. Both teams have quarterbacks that can run. Both teams have the RPO game. Both teams run jet sweep. Both teams run inside zone, outside zone, power gaps, counter stuff. We run the stuff, man. Who's going to do a better job defending it? And the big thing with this kid is, okay, yes, you want to get pressure, but you really, really have to think about, what are you going to do after you get pressure and he steps up? And you've got to, you can't beat a guy and also two-gap him unless you're just going to bull rush everybody. You know what I mean? To try to be able to come off when he steps up. Because if you rush four, there's still two empty gaps. So, and you looked at what some of these teams, what Georgia was doing with the three-man rush, just bull rush. You're not getting anything. You're not getting any kind of pressure. So, I think Minter will have movement. We ain't going to sit there and just bull rush guys and just let this kid have all day back. I just don't see Minter doing that.
Yeah, and I don't think Michigan has to play the perfect game. Like, they don't want to go out there and turn the ball over like they did last year and, have the fumble on the goal line and the 2 pick sixes, obviously in the semifinal. But when you think about playing the perfect game, that's when you feel like you're like a decided underdog and you got to go out there and play their A game and hope that they're not going to play their A game and then play perfect. Maybe you feel like that, 2 years ago when they played Georgia in the semifinal. But, no, Michigan, they have the talent where they can stay on the field with Alabama and, they've got the coaching to match it. They go out there and, Scar's gone through it. He's said a few things, making plays,
secure the football, Denny. We went to Penn State. We did it. We had the Buckeyes in town. We did it. We're capable. Do what we've been doing, man. Nothing out of the ordinary. Our coaches and players have proved it. Yeah, maybe Georgia's front was in his scheme. I think maybe part of it was his scheme. He sitting in that three-man rush so much, but you watch Alabama enough, you can see they're like this, man. But so was Michigan. We didn't play great every week, But we'll have it together, man.
You're going to win a championship. That's what you got to do. Scar, great job. Championship broadcast today. Look forward to talking with you next week. And
yeah, real quick, Denny, I got a winner, UCLA. It's one team that's going to have their quarterback. They got Boise State coming to Los Angeles. That's a winner. I think UCLA is like -2 or something. And I'll be on the 50-yard line for the Lions Saturday night, baby. So go Lions.
50-yard line for the Lions. Where are they at?
They're $800 tickets, man.
Wow.
I told my brother, I said, you sure we really want to go? That's what they're going for online. Now, we got them a lot cheaper, but anyway, I said, you sure you really want to go? We can do a lot with $800.
Enjoy it, Scar, and enjoy every moment. We look for a report on what you have to say about the Lions. All right.
All right, Denny, go blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. Thanks for those 5-star reviews.